Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Open Source Committee meeting for November 7th, 2024. Today will be pretty quick, but we are going to nominate, or rather validate and vote for our chair and vice chair. We're going to discuss our charter, and we will handle any other business or open forum that is out there. This being said, I will pull this back. I know we're missing a few people right now, but in the chat we did have in our offline chats we had both Adam and Lucas that were suggested or voted for, nominated for being chair and vice chair. Let's see. That was followed up here by Sebastian and Lucas on Discord, receiving about the same amount of votes. See Adam getting us started. Perfect. All right. And again, please do drop your affiliations in the chat. And this is only for the people who sit on the committee. Thank you. All right. Apologize. So get that back to detail here. We have Adam, who received the most votes. We had Lucas, who received the second votes in Slack. And then Lucas and Sebastian received the same amount of votes in Discord in that secondary position there. Now, Adam, I believe you had mentioned that there's another committee that you serve on, that there's also a chair conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah, so a couple of issues. One, I am potentially going to be nominating myself to be the chair of the technical steering committee, which could create a conflict if I were to be in a chair position in both the technical and open source committees, considering those are the two branches governing Intersect's open source development work. Second, it seems like we only have 5 sitting members. Does that make us quorate?
We are at quorum with 5 members, and we've got Diane coming in right now.
All right, yeah, so if anybody else wants to stand, please, by all means. If not, I will also toss my name into the hat for being the chair here, just to help run the meetings and set the agendas. So that will create a problem, though, because as far as I understand it, both open source and technical steering committee send a representative, most likely the chair, to represent them in the Intersect steering committee, which obviously I could not serve both of those roles without creating a conflict.
So just on technical ways of which we could handle this here, we can arbitrate this by, if there's a solid chance that you would be the chair of the TSC, then we would look at you as potentially the vice chair of OSC if you're still willing to serve in that capacity. Or if there's enough interest from the other parties, then maybe that's not a responsibility that you have to have on this committee. So obviously nobody's pressuring you into that position. Yes, there would be probably a pretty significant COI, if not now, then at some point in the future, if you were to chair both committees. So we'll prevent that as best as possible, as we like to lead from the front here in open source. All right. Robin, I think we missed you last week. Did you have any interest in leading or participating in a chair or vice chair capacity for the open source committee?
Not particularly, no. I think I wouldn't be the best fit for it, to be honest. So I'm happy to not be on that list. But I think from what I saw in Slack, I think there's also no votes for me. So that's fine with me.
Okay. So we'll take that back to just what was voted previously here. And I think in all fairness, that's going to give us a choice between, if we reorder this, right, we can look at Adam as the vice chair, and we can look at either Sebastian or Lucas as the chair of the committee. Does anybody have issues, questions, or concerns with that? And Sebastian, since we have you here, would you be willing to accept the chair role?
No, I think I'm not the best in this moment for the job. I voted for Lucas because Lucas as co-chair, because Lucas is doing a really good job with the CBIJ organization, and he has worked with a maestro in an organization, so he's really good for the job, in my opinion. And I think Adam is perfect for the chair role in this moment. Yeah, but I have to say I'm available if it's necessary for it. Only if it's necessary. If we need some kind of extra work or something like that, I'm available. Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Sandeep?
If needed, I can also step in. One of the reasons why I did not put my name in was I was a continuity seat, not an elected one. So that was my reason for hesitation for putting my name in.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right. So again, the reason why we're meeting today is that we do need a decision on this. The ISC is actually going to start meeting next week. So that's why we need to have a chair to send them. And I'd rather not send them somebody that's just stepping in versus somebody who's going to be carrying on with that role. I'm going to try to see if I can find Lucas. I'm not sure if he's around. But just so we can confirm that he would be okay with taking that role.
Yeah. Apologies for joining late. It's dark here.
Oh, you're good. Okay. Does anybody have any opinions that have not been mentioned yet? Okay. Thank you. So just again, as I'm hearing it, or as it seems to work out, we would be looking at Lucas pending confirmation that he would be the chair, Adam being the co-chair, Sebastian and Sandeep have both offered to step in. Oh, look at that, he's here. Do you have a question right now, Adam, or you want to let Lucas have a spot?
No, given that Lucas is here, let's go ahead and let him talk, and then we'll go.
Roger.
Hi guys. Sorry, I'm just gonna need a bit of context. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. We're gonna bring you right up to speed. So basically what we're working on right now is determining who the chair and vice chair of the open source committee are going to be. Adam was in the running and had received most of the votes. However, there is a potential conflict as he may become the chair of the technical steering committee. And so he cannot be the chair of both committees. Now yourself, as having received the second amount of votes, we have been looking at you as the chair. Adam would be the vice chair. And then we've had Sebastian and Sandeep who would volunteer to step in either capacity as needed, should there be a reason why the two of you are unavailable. So the question here would be are you willing to accept the role of the chair of the open source committee? That way we know we can make a vote or not.
Well, I'm mainly it will encompass representing the OS committee and like gathering meeting notes. Is that the day-to-day requirement, or?
So it's essentially just running the meetings and setting the agenda, but then also essentially serving as the representative of the open source committee on the Intersect steering committee, which is kind of like the executive level overall direction of Intersect committee. And that's, I think, once a week, or is it once bi-weekly, Tex?
The steering committee?
Yeah, the ISC.
I believe they may be moving to a biweekly cadence, but right now it's actually been a monthly cadence.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's limited participation there right now, but it is another. That's where the time commitment stretches, because those ISC meetings typically run for 1.5 hours. So that gives you essentially a total of 3 hours biweekly that you're contributing that way, being an hour for the OSC meeting, 1.5 for ISC, and then half an hour for the agenda set meeting.
So my only concern, for example, is I would need to have someone to compensate or articulate with me when I can't really make the calls. Because, for example, tomorrow I'm literally going to Kenya for the governance synthesis. Next week I'm going to be 3 days on a Lisbon conference representing Cardano and 45B. Then Argentina, between that blockchain Madeira. So I'm going all over the place now. And it's like I could do it sort of async. I have availability more async than to be at specific times. Like that's why I came in late today. So I am quite available to help organize things and to be on every call that I can. But sometimes it's just not going to be possible. For example, next week I'm going to be with a stand in the conference for 3 days. So yeah. But it's an honor, obviously, and I think we have a great team, and it would be great to articulate with you guys. As you know, I've done this with CBIA, which is still ongoing. We're reinventing ourselves constantly, and yeah, I think it would be great to do this for OSC.
Okay. So I guess we could look at it this way: if there's no issues that the group would have, we could essentially look at you as the chair, again, still look at Adam as the vice chair, and Adam, since he's here, would be able to align with the fact that you have some things going on right now. So he may be the one kind of leading the meetings in line with myself until such time as you're back. But we can also consider adjusting. I mean, right now this time seems to work for everybody. I know we can't necessarily go earlier for certain people. I know that puts a push on Moritz because it's kind of late for him, but forgive me, I don't know what the others directly. I know we talked about it. But anyway, the point is that we can look to adjust. So if there is a certain day that ends up freeing up for you at some point, then we can definitely align with that so that we do have a consistent presence with you as the chair. So in the short term, I wouldn't worry about it as too big of an issue. Absolutely do your travel and be participative. And I think if anything, that just adds to a reason as to why you stand to be the chair. So
sounds good. Thanks for the vote of confidence, and I'll be articulating with Adam then. Cheers.
Okay. So the last bit of detail here before I get to Adam is that I would be the one responsible for syncing with you as far as the agenda is concerned. So I can meet with you as whatever time you have. That's no trouble at all. Adam?
Oh yeah, I was just going to officially, propose that we nominate Lucas as the chair, myself as the vice chair, and vote to retain Tex as the committee secretary as well.
I'll second that. And gratefully not nominate myself for anything.
All right, that looks unanimous to me. So we are in good shape there. Give me just a second. I don't know that Christian got anything prepared directly, which is not calling him out. He's out of office this week, so I don't know if he pulled anything directly. But let me pull the charter down real quick and see if I can get that in a Google Doc. That way we can kind of, you guys can just put your comments in there. We'll spend a few minutes where we can deliberate anything that is high level. And then beyond that point, what can happen is I can make the updates and then we can just fix this stuff asynchronously. So the goal would be is that I can get this up to date for everybody by the next meeting, hopefully. I know that's next week, but we'll work it out.
So Pedro, while he's doing that, are you going to Web Summit in Lisbon next week?
Yeah, that's the thing. We bought a startup pack. We're going to take 3, myself included, and we're going to be pitching a Web3 course that we created. It was funded by Catalyst. It was like Web3 for business people, non-technical way of having people playing, especially from installing a Vesper wallet to understanding what an NFT is, all the way to playing with Marlowe, just as a sandbox of business cases and all that. So we were looking for signups, and we're looking for people that can hire us for private courses or something in their organizations.
Did you post anything in particular on LinkedIn about this workshop you're offering? That's where I can help amplify that.
Not for now. We're just touching up. We're literally redoing our website because it's just a placeholder thing at the moment. We have a dev on it right as we speak, and we're going to be relaunching the website. But I'll ping you. We're connected already on LinkedIn. So thanks for reaching out, and I'll ping you to, thank you for amplifying it.
Yeah, and if you get there, I think one of my colleagues from Bitergia, Miguel Angel, will be there, and maybe he can grab you for a coffee and show you what we're doing in terms of community dashboards. I'm trying to coerce him into driving from Madrid or taking the train from Madrid to Lisbon.
He's going to need tickets, right? You know they're quite in high demand.
Yeah, no, I have spare tickets.
Oh, that's what I was just about to ask, if you guys have access to some free ticket, because I'm in Porto right now, and I'm here in Portugal until next week, like late next week. But I'm not sure if I could even make it, but potentially just to see if it's possible.
So, Robin, I can't say yes to that because I'm even asking the people that I'm asking for the spare ticket for. Just in all transparency, I also do some consulting for the Hedera folks in the Linux Foundation, and it's coming from them. So, and Bitergia, they're a Bitergia client as well. So, I'm not positive. They got like the biggest package possible, and they had a lot of spare passes. But let me see what I can do. And if you hit me up in LinkedIn, as with everyone, I'm more available on LinkedIn or paying attention to LinkedIn than Discord. Though I am in Discord. I there.
I think we connected in LinkedIn already, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I can ping you there.
Ping me there.
So if it doesn't work out, it's fine. I just wanted to see if possible, then I could potentially make it. Let's see.
Yep. Perfect.
I'll ping you. Thank you.
Also, on this event, it was really interesting to me to find out that Midnight is actually a sponsor, and they're hosting one of the main side events or after the evening events. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes up, who shows up there, and to network a bit.
What is Midnight? She asked.
So Midnight is a partner chain. I would say sponsored or subsidized somehow by IOG, but I'm not sure how open that is, or it's a side chain of Cardano that's inspiring from privacy chains, but using zero knowledge proofs. They want to be regulatory compliant, so they can prove that you didn't transact with the wrong people without showing everyone that you transacted with.
Cool.
Yeah, it's midnight.network. I'm going to drop it on the chat.
Okay, thanks.
Cheers.
Okay, and I just found out the Bitergia guy is in China. He can't go. So, but I'll see if I can get a pass for you, Robin.
Awesome.
Hedera guys are cool. We met them in Vienna.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop my sort of like link tree on the chat, and Robin, please connect if you're especially if you're going there.
Yeah, for sure. I just actually I just DM'd you in Slack, so maybe we can, wherever is best for you, we can start a discussion.
Okay. Cheers.
I did share the link for everybody, so if y'all feel free to hop in there and either edit directly or make comments, whatever you feel is most appropriate.
How and why is the text overflowing the right-hand margin on the page here?
That is a fantastic question.
It's a paragraph. Yeah.
So I guess one thing, I know I can make this change as well, but potentially part of our charter, I believe, will expand with the 2025 budget and having both the code for us and the paid maintainership program. I would imagine that the open source committee would end up having some level of oversight there. Tex, like, do you know if that's the plan currently from the open source office?
We would manage that directly, if I understand correctly.
Right, but I mean, are we voting to just give you and Christian kind of like unilateral powers there, or would the open source committee serve as essentially auditors to make sure that that paid maintainership program is being kind of run correctly? I think that would be the way to legitimize that program so that it's not, you know, essentially single point of failure or single person in control in the persona of Christian. No offense to him or anything, but just to make it more decentralized, essentially.
Right. So in theory, and what should be in practice here is that essentially you all agree to, right? Hopefully you all agree to the way that we would vet candidates, right? For who's going to be a part of the program, and the entire process of how those candidates applied, what their interview or what their vetting looked like, anything like that would all be open to the committee. And we come back at the end and you know, since we'd be doing the grunt work, we would say, these are the people who look best fit to serve in these particular roles. And this person would go here, go here, go here. So yes, I mean, you all have direct oversight of that, and essentially before anybody would even be in the position of KYC, receiving funds or anything like that, you all would have the final say so to say, yes, this person goes through, or no, this person does not. But at that point, it's on you all for the rationale as to why you would choose or not choose somebody. So, or if we messed up, you know, you could say we messed up too. That's works. Great question. Yeah, I think there's a part of that. I don't know exactly who you send those to, but
Mostly having fun at your expense and being a little bit tongue in cheek, but that might actually be, given that you guys are some of the only dedicated employees of Intersect, that may again be another avenue for community oversight, where the elected, one of the elected committees kind of determine whether or not you guys are living up to your commitment to the community. So we'll see. We'll leave it in there as a maybe.
I'm not afraid of it, and I wouldn't even mind if it were to happen anyway. I'm an open book. If I'm not doing something right, I mean, anybody can tell me. So it's all good. Okay. I'm gonna try to find the notes from last week real quick.
Well, I had a question on the goals of the committee, and this is probably because I don't have the history. It's the first time I heard someone use it in the word legitimacy around here, because usually it's about open governance, you know, and I'm just the wordsmithing of that. I would say it would be something like ensure the open governance of that rather than, you know, but that's the only thing that seems to be missing here is the open governance of the project. And that might be because it's not as open as we wish at the moment, and we just want to legitimize it and make sure, and that's on the roadmap for the committee at some point, is to be openly and independently governed. But can you explain a little bit more about the choice of the word legitimacy and what your intentions are there?
Adam?
So part of the problem was when we brought the repositories over just in the past year from IOG to Intersect. Realistically, if we're being honest, we had been source available rather than open source for the last 7 years. And so there was a push to essentially legitimize Cardano as a truly open source project in terms of anybody can come in and contribute and take part, whereas traditionally it's been a little bit of a walled garden in terms of who had access to commits and actually get features and pull requests merged in. So that's where that legitimacy pillar was here initially over the past year of 2024. I think we're getting closer to there, but we're still not all the way. But I agree with you that it should be more of a focus on maintaining, open access and governance of these projects versus some sort of imposter syndrome and legitimizing ourselves is probably not the right choice of words.
Yeah, I just stumbled with that. Because we're the open source thing, I would almost, rather than emphasize open governance, because that'll probably put a shiver up the back of everybody else in the rest of the universe. And trust me, I've just gone through that with the Hedera folks. So maybe instead of legitimacy, ensure the openness of the Cardano open source project. And because it, and make an effort, I just have there's a little like, it's just odd phrasing for an open source project to talk about its legitimacy and not have the word open in the goals of the committee. And that's usually what you see on the first line is like, if it was ensure the openness of the Cardano open source project, it's not just a collection, it's a source code, blah, 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 blah. If open access and contribution ladders are not available, the project may lose its legitimacy, or I'm trying to think of a better word than legitimacy is what I'm trying to do. And it's one of the goals being open, rather than legitimacy. So
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sandeep, you've got your hand up.
Thank you. Legitimacy is pretty important. Also because this is the source code that is default to many. And here we are legitimizing that the source that is there, which is open, yeah, but it follows the protocol in correct way, at least assumed to be correct way, because the fork could have, even though that could be open, could have the different protocols that is not as accepted. So open governance, that could be, but legitimacy, I consider that to be pretty important because that's the code that goes into the minute.
It's really the first one. It's like the goal for an open source committee should be that it's open and that there's an open path to contribution. And in almost every project that I've done, I mean, the other ones don't bug me so much. let me just see if I can find a thesaurus here online to find it. But I would want in the parentheses on the first one, I would think should be the word open. And then legitimacy is just something, maintain our legitimacy as an open source project by having a clear path, contribution ladder and path to participation to ensure, legitimacy or something. Give me 2 seconds here. It's early.
How about credentials?
And just give me. I'm spelling everything wrong, sorry. But that's the only thing that bugged me about that. This is the word legitimacy. So, and I'll be totally open. I'm using ChatGPT. So what ChatGPT just gave me is, instead of that, is if you put it in open, it now would read, maintain the openness of the Cardano open source project, COPS. The COPS is more than a collection of GitHub repository. It represents the source code for the binaries deployed into Cardano. The status can be compromised if the project loses its open and trusted standing with the community. If this openness and trust were to erode, a majority of the stake pool operators could choose to build code from a fork. Therefore, it is essential to maintain openness and transparency of the cause to ensure its continued acceptance and use by the community. And I'm going to put that in chat, and you can debate that and ignore me if you like. But this is what it gave me. Just rewriting that first one, and not even openness. You can cut and paste their text. I just threw it in chat. Who's ever doing the typing, and go
Right.
for it. Your hands up.
Yeah, well, yeah, sorry. Is that the same or is this different?
It's different. It's slightly different because the openness. It's just, instead of openness, just the word open in the parentheses. Here, let me
Yeah.
get in there. Let me get in there, and I'll throw it in myself. It's here. I'm just going to go right above here, and go there. This is what I'm suggesting.
Yeah. My only suggestion here, the reason why I raise my hand, is when you have openness, Cardano open source, I'm like, you're reading the same word over and over and over again. That's why I was thinking just using something like this. Visibility and variability, is that changing the definition of the openness term? Or
Well, I love your vocabulary, guys. It's just, but the visibility, I think this is about, there's not visibility and veritability. Veritability is an awkward word to me, and visibility is more about brand awareness and engagement with the community. So I don't personally, I don't mind having the word open in there multiple times.
I'm not English native, and I would need to go look it up, to be honest. I don't know
it's another way to say verifiable, but
yeah, I don't.
But
What
that's
is
also not what we're
talking about?
what we're proposing to do as the committee, right? We're proposing to make sure that access to contribution remains open to everybody, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, so that there are no gatekeepers sitting on top of repositories preventing anybody from advancing the chain forward, essentially.
Yeah. So the reason I like this, I mean, the word, so you've got to keep explaining accessibility, openness and accessibility.
I guess that's a doesn't matter because well,
I think it's,
I'm not actually a seat. I'm just trying to help.
Right.
Yeah.
The access is the openness, and the openness is the access essentially.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
yeah, again, yeah, you're just using more words to say the same thing, so it doesn't really accomplish anything. So, and
But
saying
it-
open 3 times is fine because it's like that whole.
Is
If
it
you hear it
is
3 times, it gets locked in your brain, and the only thing you remember is, oh, it's open. And so
what I see that you're maybe trying to do is to say, like, in different words, to define the openness on a technical level and on a like human level. Is that what you're trying to do?
Are you asking me or are you asking Terrence?
Just in everyone.
Yeah. I think personally, I think openness is what we're the open source committee. That is, we have to ensure that the project is open, that there's a path to contribution, that the code is accessible, that, I've just watched another project go dark because they decided to turn their repo private. So I'm like, so maintaining the openness is really important work. And I think that's kind of the work that we're trying to do here. And what I like about the trusted standing rather than legitimacy, open and trusted standing, than legitimacy, is because legitimacy seems, I don't know, it doesn't translate well into multiple languages, but 2, it's also, it's a little antagonistic towards maybe the powers that be in your ecosystem. This is just, we are the people that are going to help Intersect and Cardano be trusted by the rest of the open source universe so that people would build on us. And then as opposed to the technical steering committee, which is going to make sure that it's technically good and innovative and blah, 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 and all the wonderful things. So this, I think, is, this is our main thrust here. The quality is quality. I mean, it's the balance between what you want the open source committee to do versus the TSC. And I know, Adam, you've got sort of a foot in both worlds too, and I don't know if others do, but the TSC is sort of drives the technical roadmap, make sure that the builds and the releases are good and strong and solid, and that things that people are requesting in terms of new features and functions actually are legit, and things that should be put in there. And I get this. I think this is the division of labor between the TSC and the OSC, and that ours is to make sure that the project remains open and help build a trust in the project, as well as brand awareness and going out there in the world and talking about what we're doing here. And so the other ones are a little, the quality, sustainability, and citizenship. I might, I would make these a little beefier, but like citizenship might be something, you might put something in there about ensure that there's a good path to contribution, a good and open path to contribution, and support the building of an open community or something like that. And I'm wordsmithing on the fly here with 1 cup of coffee. A little beefier, yeah. Clear path to contribution. Clear path. And this is about documenting how to contribute. This is about the workshop that Lucas is doing, onboarding new people and educating them on how to participate, even down to the how to make your first GitHub pull request, right? And helping with hackathons, low hanging fruit.
That's the human side of the openness that I was referring to. Yeah.
Yeah. So something like this, and we don't have to wordsmith all of it right today, but I think the reason I'm talking about it is because the word legitimacy kind of just stuck in my head as an odd thing. The rest of them are fine. Yeah. So they're a little short, but that's okay. I'm overly verbose, as is ChatGPT.
All right. Sandeep, you still have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, again, I am not a native speaker as well, so I might be misunderstanding the word. The reason why I think legitimacy should be there is it is open source. Okay, it can be forked. There can be multiple people following the fork. That is also okay. But as an open source committee, we recognize a particular source where it is located. For example, say intersect/Cardano node to be the legitimate source of Cardano node. That if somebody comes to open source committee or Cardano open source, then what should they be told that is the legitimate source of that code? Is it a fork? Is it something? There should be a legitimate place for the source code that is within Intersect and within Intersect open source, not the fork of that somewhere else. So from that perspective, we are recognizing the source code where it is located as a legitimate source, because that's the mainnet source code that goes into it. And
yeah, I think.
So I would argue that is not actually legitimacy, but authoritativeness. That we are the authoritative source, because again, legitimacy seems to imply that we have imposter syndrome. We're not legitimate, and somebody else may be, whereas we are the source, right? The trusted. So probably maintain trust is a better word choice, or authority. We are Intersect is the authority on Cardano, core Cardano source code, right? Any other fork is non-authoritative. It's a fork. It's a branch. Yeah, canonical is also another kind of well-defined term in internet speak, at least in terms of where you go for the trusted source. Go ahead, Robin.
Just wondering, maybe you can say something about it, because I think you, as native English speakers, is maybe easier for you or better to explain. Because for me, authoritative and openness together in one sentence, or even as like two items together, seems a bit going against each other. Or it could be, depending on how it's written or read, I guess. So I'm wondering how you see that.
So, okay, I think I'm muted, so hang on a sec.
No, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to find, got too many pictures open. So the word that we typically use in open source is the canonical trusted source code, and rather than authoritative. I wasn't sure whether that, but since Adam kind of recognized it too. So normally it's open, canonical, and trusted standing. And canonical doesn't mean the Linux distribution. It means that it is like the Bible. It is the thing that is the source of what gets deployed to the mainnet. And that's where, so if we insert the open, canonical, and trusted standing there, canon, source of truth, thank you. Doesn't have to go biblical all the time. So that's where it is. So I think, Sandeep, if we insert the word canonical there, and everybody understands it as the source of truth, and then we have the other word here a little bit later is could choose to build from a fork, that really explains what we're trying to do. Is we want to be the trusted source of the code base and of where people give their feedback, innovate, and add new code to. So I think the word canonical, if I sneak that in there, will fix the legitimacy stuff. And I'll stop talking and let other people rule.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I know the word canon from the Star Wars canon and what is canon or not within the universe, and not from a biblical perspective. So you're all good, Diane.
All right, and I know it from Linux, so I'm like always trying to explain. It's not canonical. So there you go. So that I think if Sandeep, I saw a thumbs up. I think if you're okay, we could cross off the legitimacy, which I X'd out, and move on. And the other ones, I mean, they didn't bug me. I just thought they could be a little more verbose, but maybe that's for another day, because we've got, unless people want to go through each of those things.
Well, yeah. So we're only at about 10 minutes left in today's scheduled time, so maybe everybody can continue to review and look at this and provide feedback asynchronously, and then maybe we can get to a formal charter that we can vote on maybe perhaps next week during next week's meeting, which I believe is back on our normal bi-weekly cadence. And Tex can confirm that whenever he's back.
I am right here. Yes. Absolutely advocate for async. Next week we are, resuming that bi-weekly cadence. So maybe we're meeting 3 weeks in a row. It gets a little bit interesting here. I'm going to let y'all decide what you want to do. I want to say I already canceled the meeting for Thanksgiving Day for the States, because I'm not asking anybody to show up at that time. So
I got a cancellation confirmation. Yes.
Okay. Basically, next week we all can decide: do we need to meet the week after, and then we've met 4 weeks in a row, or do we take 2 weeks off and come back after that? So just think about that while you're async over the next week or whatnot. And at any time,
So
if we need to throw a meeting together, we can.
Bear in mind, like Lucas said earlier, we are going to have the Constitutional Convention that first week of December. So that is also a no-go for at least myself, and I think Lucas and potentially some of the other people in the audience as well.
So that would be the 5th, 6th, right? This is that first week, right?
Yeah, the Constitutional Convention is the 1st through the 7th, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. So there's currently no meeting on that week. So it actually, I'm sorry, I said 2 week. It would be a 3 week break if we do not meet 4 weeks in a row. So, basically we would.
So we may want to add one on the 21st and then take a 2 week break and come back on the 12th.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably need to leapfrog again into the new year because of the Christmas and New Year holiday as well. So.
Yeah, if I didn't take that off yet, I did off the events calendar, but I will do that here for the event itself.
That's what I'm seeing on my calendar. I have the next week, the 14th, and then nothing for 21st and 28th. And then we only come back on the 12th of December.
Which we can do. I mean, there's probably unlikely to be a ton of work for the open source committee right now in this holiday period while we're waiting for the Constitution and the budget and everything else to be ratified. So it's really up to you guys if we want to just take that natural 3 week break from open source and just do anything async via the chat.
The 21st doesn't work because there is an intersect steering committee during the time when we would normally hold the meeting. So
yeah, so we do the 14th, take a 3 weeks off and resume on the 12th, and then essentially take probably 2 or 3 weeks off around Christmas and the New Year as well. So it would be one meeting for December, essentially.
Yeah. And I guess we can put that up then if we get to the meeting on the 12th and y'all want to meet again on the 19th. I know that's short notice, but we can do that, or I can put something in tentatively if you guys want to plan for that ahead of time. As a potential, not a required. Yeah.
Let's not plan on it, because that would all probably start to run into people's travel plans for the holiday and family coming to visit and everything else. So let's just assume one meeting for December on the 12th. And If something pressing comes up, we can figure out another time that we can all meet, or at least the majority of us can meet to work on whatever might come up.
Okay. That being said, thank you all for showing up. Look forward to communicating with you all on the back end there. And I think the meeting's already adjusted there, but we have a question from the community, it looks like.
Yes, so I'm new to Intersect. Hi all. I wonder, is there a schedule where I can see when, how late a certain meeting is?
Absolutely. So if you are able to, if you fill out your membership there, whether that's an associate or a paid membership, in your members area, there is a link to our Discord server.
Yes,
And
I'm
our
already in there.
Discord server, the top left has the events going on.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Let's see. That's great.
You bet.
Well, thank you.
No trouble. Any other questions?
No, that's it.
What do we have in Discord? Do we have a channel for this open source committee to chat about the goals of the committee? This document here already set up? Is there just an open?
So it's just an open channel in Discord. The private communication is on Slack, but if you prefer that we spin up a private channel, we can. It's just on Discord, we try to keep it open. So
Yeah, so I'll do this. I'll just commit to looking at these other goals in the next few days and see and put some suggestions in the comments to make them, to strengthen them.
Okay.
That is, Sarah. So,
that'll work.
all right. Have fun in Lisbon, Pedro.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will.
Thanks.
Cool.
All right. Well, congratulations, everybody, and have a great one.
Take care.
Thanks, Tex.
You too.
Bye.
Okay.
Ciao.